Ephraim Kwa-Edu, please can you provide an insight about how regional cooperation should be handled in this period? Across Asia, Europe, and America, nation states are protecting their territorial boundaries and preferring economic and social palliatives for their citizens. How can West African countries work together to forge a regional path that will benefit their citizens and the region at large?
Thank you very much, moderator. I was first start with a premise of a utilitarian premise. I know the conspiracy theorists might not probably support this view, but in 1994, Bill Gates is reported to have said that banking is necessary, banks are not. Now, if we extend this argument, we could also say education is necessary or important, but schools and universities are not. We could also say business is important, but businesses of themselves are not that important or necessary. What we are looking at is that, of course, the end justifies the means. Now, if we take our West African sub-region, the preeminent body is ECOWAS, and I think a lot of the solutions that I'll probably be talking about lies in their objectives. Now, just to pick just two little things from the objectives, they say that they are looking at integration to raise the living standards of its people, West African people, and to maintain and enhance economic stability. In fact, if you listen to previous speakers, they have already explained that COVID-19 is potentially going to cause a recession, and for that matter, it could even cause a depression. And that is totally opposite to what the Economic Community of West Africa looks to basically achieve. And they also look to foster relations among member states. Now, I generally look at COVID as a disruption. Dictionary definition would say that a disruption is a disturbance or a problem that interrupts an event, an activity, or a process. Now, whether disruptions are planned or unplanned, it is always going to happen. There are cases where companies like Netflix, for example, came as a big disruption, and Blockbuster and Virgin Media and so on and so forth probably went out of business, or their share of the market went down. Uber and co have come to disrupt the taxi business. These are planned disruptions, but we've also had a lot of unplanned disruptions. And again, the first or second speaker spoke about a lot of these pandemics that have occurred over the history of the world. So whether we had COVID in 2019, 2020, or we didn't have COVID, there would be disruptions. And for me, it is not an issue of whether there's a disruption, it's about how we respond to the disruption. Now, one would say that COVID is a medical problem, and of course it causes a lot of death, and we've had a lot of people dying, and that is a sad situation. But let me again make a very controversial point here. For me, the problem with COVID is not even the deaths. If I take Ghana, for instance, COVID has killed about 6 people as of today. Now, that is not a very large number compared to those who have died by accidents. The first 3 months of this year, we've had over 400 people dying from road accidents. In fact, in one single accident, there were more than 30 people dying in a bus accident. So in the scheme of things, COVID is probably not the most dangerous thing for human health. However, the disruption for me occurs in what we call social distancing, disruption to our way of life, shaking hands, spending time with people in close proximity, going to church, going to the malls, the markets, and so on and so forth. For me, that is what is causing most disruption. Now, Albert Einstein says that if I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended on the solution, I will spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper question to ask And for once I know the proper question, I will solve the problem in 5 minutes. Right. So for me, the sub-region has to be dynamic and be able to adjust to this pandemic that is disrupting our way of life. And the question is, what do we do to attain the goals that I specified earlier on to have to deal with this disruption? And for me, that is the question that we should be looking at. Now, this region needs to drive the solution. It shouldn't be coming from anywhere else. We should be ahead of, we should be proactive and not be taken by surprise. Now, we should approach this in a very systematic way through analysis. That is what I mean by thinking through the problem. We need to do it by analysis. We need to analyze our internal situation. We need to analyze our external situation, what resources we have, what technologies we have, what partnerships could be made, especially within our sub-region. For example, we have a large diaspora. I'm sure if we add the diaspora from Ghana and Nigeria, they would easily form a country, probably maybe the second biggest country in West Africa. We also have countries like Sierra Leone and Liberia that have suffered Ebola, and they've dealt with this kind of situation before. So they have skills and experiences for which they can share with other countries that have not had these issues before. There are business models. In Accra now, when you go to Accra, we have Okada, and I understand it originated from Nigeria. So there again, those people are delivering all kinds of things across the city. So we have Nigeria, for example, has a lot of oil. The West African gas pipeline, for example, is the type of solution we are talking about, where Nigeria has a resource and finds a way to supply gas to its neighboring countries. So for me, those are the issues that we should be looking at. Now, I'll take the case for education because I'm from the educational sector. In Ghana, we didn't leave schools, and of course, when we had about 6 cases, schools were closed. Now, we didn't leave educational institutions to deal with the problem on their own. So you have the Ministry of Education bringing all the schools, and we are talking about the pre-tertiary and the tertiary systems together to think about or think through what the problem was. And the obvious solution was online learning. You'd find that the pre-tertiary, primary, secondary are using radio and TV to now, continue teaching students. And we find that the universities are moving a lot of their teaching and learning onto various learning management platforms. In fact, when the schools shut down, we only have 6 cases. Now we have 378, I think. And so I don't think the schools are coming back next week or next 2 weeks. And even the schools are planning to write exams online. You'll have universities that are technically endowed or have a lot of resources supporting other universities that don't have those resources. So those are the kinds of collaborations I'm talking about within the sub-region. So for me, the cure is just one: collaboration. Collaboration. Now, it is quite obvious that in recent times, the world has gone through a phase of nationalism where leaders like Viktor Orban from Romania, Donald Trump, Matteo Salvini from Italy, and of course, the Nigerian border closures, for example, where there were issues of smuggling, where countries are looking to themselves and trying to, look at their own situation and trying to solve their own problems. For me, that is not a solution to the problem. That is not the way to go. Collaboration is the way to go. Cooperation, resource sharing, leveraging our existing resources, and sharing with others. I've seen even cases where individuals at the individual level are helping neighbors. People are driving people around. In China, for example, there were people who basically donated their cars and their time to drive people around, medical staff, from their homes to hospitals. Skills sharing, where we have some skill or experience which is abundant in one country, we can easily share the skills with the other countries that don't have it. Now, my final words. Disruption is expected. A proper analysis and a systematic plan is what provides us solutions. And the solutions is definitely collaborative. Henry Ford once said, coming together is a beginning, staying together is a process, and working together is success. Thank you very much.